So I've jumped ahead slightly. We're going to move from the bottom view here up to what would effectively be the front view. And so I just unlocked my reference layer so that I can add a new outline. So I'm going to use the rectang command and OSnap and polar tracking. I'm going to bring myself up about, let's say, 2 inches up, and then I'm going to specify 14 by 3 as my rectangle size. So I want to put this new rectangle on my reference layer, and then I'm going to lock the reference layer down so that I can't select or effectively I can't change anything on the reference layer. Okay, so now I can start using, I'm back in my basic layer. I'm going to start drawing the outline here. So we know this is 1/8 of an inch thick. We know the inner dimension is 0.25 and the outer radius here is 0.375. So what I'm going to do actually is sketch the top profile first, and then we'll use the offset tool to get the inside for free. So to do the top, I'm going to use polar tracking, go up 1/8 over, and here I don't have to do any calculating because I know that I can offset directly from that hidden line. I'm going to go straight up to the top, and that's it. Then I'm going to select this geometry, mirror, select the midpoint, don't erase it, and then I'm going to connect the top like so. So again, with this workflow, we have no duplicate shapes, and we have a nice outer profile. The final step before we do our offset is filleting. We're going to change the radius to 0.25, fillet our inside edges. And I could have done the filleting before the mirroring, but for just 2, it doesn't really save that much time. And then I'm going to do fillet again, change the radius to 0.375 or 3/8. Hit M for multiple, and then do the tops. So now I have my outer profile. I'm going to use the offset tool, specify my offset distance, 0.125 as the thickness, and then I'm going to start clicking objects that I want to offset. So very quickly and easily, I can select these individual lines and create the inner profile. And you'll notice that I get a consistent thickness all the way through. And these here, if I switch to center mark layer and add a center mark for this guy, and then another one for that guy, we'll notice that they nicely overlap. So that's going to be a nice little feature. The final step on this view here is just going to be to add in our center lines that correspond to each of these holes. And that's going to include also the hidden lines for each of the holes as well. So we're going to do a line here, and then here I can use offset polar tracking to just draw a center line like so. I can do the same thing on this side, track my way up, draw a center line through, and at this point I'm not really too worried about height because I can trim that away later. And then I'm going to select and array this guy, do a rectangular array of, let's say, we'll do 5 elements, and then we'll change the spacing to 2. And so now we can match the spacing on the bottom. And then here, we want to make sure we make this just one row so that we don't have any vertical lines as well. Then at this point we can mirror this guy if we so choose, or just draw another one on the other side. And now we have center lines, the beginnings of the holes, the sort of marking it. And so now we can switch to hidden and do offset. And in this case, we know the diameter of the holes, so we can use the offset tool to actually make offsets from each line to get a cutout for each of the holes. So we'll see that the radius of these holes, the diameter is 0.5, so the radius is going to be 0.25. These center holes, they're 0.75, which gives us a 0.375 diameter. So again, we'll do offset, specify 0.25, object like so. The same thing here. And then, because unfortunately this offsets directly to the same layer, we have to manually change that. And then at this point we would do, say, the trim tool, use these edges, trim away the excess. Now I can see that, it sometimes can pay off to do the mirroring after the fact because we can save some operations. So now, for example, I can, I'll correct using a little cheat with my stretch tool. I'm just going to line these up to be a 1/4 of an inch out. And now I can just mirror this, again using my convenient reference geometry, and we have a hidden line. Okay, so next up we're going to do the centerpiece. Alright, so since we've already made this pattern, our temptation might be to delete it and start over, but there's an easier way. If we click on the pattern, we get this special array ribbon, and one of the things we can do is edit the source. So if we choose our base item, you see that it grays out the rest of the items, and now at this point any changes that we make here will be propagated through the rest of the pattern. So for example, if I'm going to do an offset of 0.375 to draw my hole edges, when it's done we can see that these new lines are propagated through. So hey, that's good. So I'm just going to go through the same procedure before. We're going to change the layer here, and then we can use our trim command, select the tops and bottoms, get rid of this excess, and then here I'll even use the stretch command twice to line these guys up. So this is not exactly the orthodox way of doing it, but it's a kind of a quick and dirty way of correcting these. And now we can see that all of the patterned holes here have the same features. We can see that's been propagated through. So if we're ignoring dimensions for now, that's basically everything you need to represent this.